Welcome back to the Lakeside Productions YouTube channel. For anybody new to my channel, I'm repairing a 1940 40-foot seaplane tender which is constructed of double diagonal mahogany and oak frames. So my father and I are working together to replace a section of the hull. You can see like this entire area was totally shot. It was all rotten. Dry rot got into the double diagonal mahogany and the oak ribs, so that was all cut out years prior. And we're finally getting around to getting it repaired once and for all. So we're using 6 and 9mm plywood, laminating it to replicate the 15mm mahogany planks. And we're doing this so it'll take the shape of the hull easily. Whereas I don't think you would even be able to do this with 15mm. Even with the 9mm, it was quite a job to get it in place. The two of us working to fit it to the shape of the hull over the 6mm. I bedded the ends of the inner gunnel using chopped fiberglass mat, and I cut this up real fine, or as fine as I could, using a scissors, and then mixed that in with polyester resin, and it creates a nice little bedding compound for the butt ends of the inner gunnel.
See that way that goes in? We're not going to make that go in on the gunnel. So what we do is we fair it with fairing pump. Yeah. Does it get a lip? Does the gunnel have this? Oh no, that'll be a water trap. Yeah. And that. That's it. Now seesaw, seesaw. Seesaw, seesaw. Lovely. Sorry, no, I didn't. Unproof. They had like, I don't know, 2 foot, 4 foot thick, like railway sleepers, and then steel over that. Like the noise inside, the heat, the steam, how the men didn't go mad. Mad, I tell you. Monitors. I have to get a 13 span. Oh, how is that? No, we've only got that left. It is powerful.
Yeah.
And how many times I've hurt that dry and it fitted, now I can't get it. So I think Get the hardware. That's it. Yep. I'd say that's coming close to the hole to get the car, would you?
So once all our frames were in place, I could then trace on each frame onto the ply, allowing us to get our screw points and make sure they were centered with the frames. We would just drill out from the inside and that would give our marks. Yeah.
You're sitting with the daylight at the bottom?
Yeah, that's grand, it's the angle, isn't it?
No, I know that. Push it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do you want one in the middle?
Yeah, I'm gonna drill.
Yeah, it might flex. Such a soft piece of wood, isn't it? Bottom left corner, your left, needs to go down, needs to go in more. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that can be done, yeah.
That looks good.
That's
I
good.
can see the inner mahogany.
Right.
Oh, that has fixed it. Wow, it's going to take a nice little trench of... It's just for the counter thing. Yeah, oh sorry, will I wait for you?
When you're ready.
Right. Now, pre-drill all my holes in the
Ply.
there.
Yeah, that's flush. It's good, isn't it? Here we go. What do you want me to do?
No. That noise.
That is very strange.
That's it.
We had to increase the recess on the inner gunnel to allow for the plywood sheets to sit flush. Lots of test fitting and chipping away, but it's certainly better to take off too little than too much.
That shot afterwards. Nice.
good, isn't it? 2 sizes. That's fine. Thank you.
I have got it. Right. Any other ways? It must increase the pressure. You see these air bumps coming out.
We're on a slope here. I made sure to apply epoxy to the edge grain of the plywood to guarantee that there was a good seal. I then thickened the epoxy with microfibers so I could apply the epoxy to all the vertical surfaces and frames.
If any left, just that edge, the top of that and that edge there, glue up that afterwards. Will you be able to find the holes? Yeah. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Get her up and in there. That's where we have to get the first screw in.
Okay, what can I do?
Inside the batten.
Drill. Yeah?
I need the drill.
Oh, okay.
No, we'll get to the batten in a minute.
So my father is transferring marks from the inner sheet to the outer 9mm ply, and this way we can drill the screws and stagger them, that we don't chance hitting any of the other screws.
Once it's just flush.
Yeah.
It's like building those old Keelcraft Aeroboard balsa wood models. As everything tightens up, that's the strength. 2, 3, 4. Oh, right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit. Oh, that's the Robin Strake. 5, 6, 7. Under there. Then. 4, 5. Oh, how deep is the gun? I better go up a little higher. 5. This is the oak frames that we saw.
It's amazing to see with even just a 6mm ply how it took to the shape of the hull, with the frames in there, and still the oak ribs have to go in place. Satisfying milestone.
Ready is my middle name. Hut 2, hut 3, hop, 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 hop. Oh!
Oh, he dropped.
They got it!
One job.
Rope around my arm. I go, oh hey, come back hard. You're going to walk around to the barge and spoil them over.
He didn't come through.
No, but he's buried in the wood like.
Yeah. Oh, I see him, I see him. It's just flush with the timber. Now this next one, right?
Yeah.
He's off the. He can't take the curve, right, at the very end. So that screw might.
The mahogany can't.
Yeah. So I can push him a bit now, but yeah, if you want a chance, use one of those screws. Do you want to use a small one again?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Big. Knock that down into the bill just so we can hoover it from there.
I'll hoover it up now next.
Oak is on.
So I'm planing an angle on the ends of the oak ribs, allowing them to then sit nice and flush to the inner gunnel. Using a gas blowtorch to steam our oak ribs. The blowtorch heats the pot of water, and then the towels help to retain and direct the steam into the steel pipe where our oak ribs sit. So about 40 minutes to an hour was enough time to steam our oak ribs. They do say, you know, for each inch of timber you should add an hour, and looking at our oak ribs, they're about an inch thick, so perfect. So this was my first time steam bending oak ribs, any ribs for that matter, and I've seen my uncle Peter do it before, and you know, I'm an amateur, and as you can see there's not much to it. So yeah, the age-old method. That car bearing will never run again.
Wanna try a test bend?
Yeah. Good.
Oh yeah,
that was a perfect shot. So much steam came out.
You can actually get the effect of it bending with the camera.
Yeah, I'm going to get that in the close-up now. Imagine this like a pool noodle, it's unusable.
But in a dead thing.
Yeah. It's hot, is it? Yeah.
Try and line up this holes. Hang on, I'm not in place. I'm lining it up, wait. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. First between the bottom.
Alright.
Now, tell me if I'm pushing you away, it means I'm not in the hole, right?
Alright, let's see.
Feels good?
So far. Oh, perfect, on line. In line.
Touch slip to that. Wow.
Wow.
One above it. Wow.
Perfect.
One underneath. Whoa.
And the next one down? Alright, leave it at that.
Look at that.
That's beautiful, yeah.
Can you see your pencil marks, sir?
No, I don't know. Oh yeah, I can, yeah.
Or I can show it through.
Perfect, on the mark. Yeah. Oh.
I had to counter it.
Yeah.
What, did it split?
No, it's just, it must be it might be the mahogany cracking a bit. I would wonder, wouldn't it?
Ready?
Yeah. Perfect. Next one.
One above it.
On the mark.
Yeah. Now, no, I countersink them when I get the new ones. I'm going to mark the line now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's a bit of epoxy chipping us up.
I think it's going to break the ply, Finn.
Oh!
Oh! No! Broke the epoxy.
Just epoxy, it's alright. Alright. There's the kind of sound you don't want to hear in your boat.
No, no.
Perfect.
Wow.
That pulled it in nice and tight. Now next one.
I'm not panicking, because we're better than this.
Yeah.
Get off my screws, do you want me to panic? What?
Hang on.
I'm showing you where to screw it. Well, I can see the epoxy move. Or this stuff.
Okay, I'm lined up.
Now, will I send in the drill bit to see if you got the hole right, or will I send in the screw?
I think you send in the screw. Oh, you want to pre-drill the oak? Yes.
We have pre-drilled
Oh
it.
yeah, so you're good to go.
But will I send in the drill bit to see is it right?
No, it should be right.
Are you sure, Finn?
Yeah.
Now, can you look at it in from the side, or...
Alright, let me take it out a little bit.
Wow, look at that pulling.
It's going into the. It's already gone into it, so.
Okay, ready?
Hang on. Yeah. Good, good, good. Whoa, that one was off.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, didn't hit your old mark, but it was it. You know, he's in, but it didn't hit your old mark.
Shit.
Yeah, but it's okay.
So is the next one going to be off?
It has to be, yeah, it must be.
It's not coming out the edge yet, is it?
No, hang on, let me push this in a bit more. You gave me the M, which means middle.
Can you see it?
No, one second.
Will I back it off?
I'm not ready. You take it out. Hang on. Perfect. On the mark. My hand's burning.
Is the glue still soft? Oh yeah.
Yeah. How can you see that?
Good unit out here.
Oh. Perfect. Well, you were confident you got him. You went straight with the screw.
You pushing?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that made him touch the gun. That's perfect. That is strong.
Fuck, we just built it at a 6mm, high speed.
Yeah. Streamline. Looks good.
Okay, now the... very gentle Finn, and...
Yeah, I know.
You only need to go down about a bit.
I sanded down the outer sheet of the 9mm plywood, and this would just remove any excess or any extruding pieces of plywood timber, allowing me then to brush on a layer of epoxy. I made sure to wipe down with thinners first and waited some time for that to evaporate before applying the epoxy. I just brushed this on, not too worried about the finish here. This is going to be sanded nice and evenly. I can apply fairing compound, or I can apply thickened epoxy to fair it before applying a primer paint, and then of course a top coat. But for now, this will protect the plywood, and it is fine to leave it outside for some time before it gets painted.
The bastard me, yeah, we'll just see what they look like first.
Wait, that's what I just know, I guess.
Oh, you can throw these in. I don't know where they're going. Too deep. Oh man.
It'll turn into a plywood boat. Just to have the epoxy finish, we'll just varnish over it. Be something else, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it?
So I think soon I must invest in some good mooring lines. As you can see, these old nylon ropes are getting a bit worse for wear, and of course your mooring lines, they have to be good. So
You got some?
yeah, it's in the boat. So when gluing up the interface of the 9mm ply, I ran out of epoxy. Luckily I had enough polyester resin remaining to make up the difference, and I used an old saw blade to evenly spread that out.
We'll always use all of this to this.
Flatten out itself. Don't use the same cup. We have another.
Any wetness on it? Here, you'll pick
It
some.
is.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's some there if you want some.
It's just the epoxy giving me a hard time. Alright, let's go. I feel some drops right.
Okay.
Okay.
In fact, I can get it to. That looks
Alright.
good. It has to go forward a bit, doesn't it?
No, I'm taking these off. No, you take the stick.
Yeah.
You need the jug.
Oh, sorry.
Now you butter that back up and get it into that gap.
You might be wondering why we're using stainless steel screws here and not the brass screws that the boat was originally built with, and we've used them everywhere else. But for this gauge of screw, we tried using the brass screws, and it just didn't seem to. They just seemed weak. You know, they didn't seem strong. They felt brittle, so we changed it up for stainless steel screws. At least the last, you know, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get any rusting. Of course, they're stainless steel, and they will do the job well. They're nice and strong. You also might be wondering why we're just doing a repair job here with plywood and not restoring it back to its, you know, mahogany and replacing the mahogany planks. But we just want to get the job done for the summer, you know, before the weather turns bad again. And while we have the sunshine here, you know, the weather in Ireland, it's unpredictable, and even in the summer, as we know in the last week, it's been difficult to get any work done outside with the rain. It's impossible. You cannot work outside, so we have to get the jobs done as quick as possible. And I mean, this is substantial work. I mean, it's going to last, and later on down the road we'll get it lifted out, we'll get the boat on the hard, and then we can do the real work then. But for now, it's to get it back into a liveaboard again that it once was, and to enjoy it while I have it. So I just added a small mahogany block here of timber, and this allowed us to really pull in that 9mm ply at the corner, at the very end, going towards the bow. We had no ground, so this allowed us. So that's all for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I always read your comments, and it's fantastic to see all the motivation, the constructive criticism from you guys, so it doesn't go unseen. I also have a PayPal link in the description below if you feel like further supporting the project there. And as always, guys, stay productive and have fun creating. I will see you in the next episode.